Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the session. On the occasion of World Health Day, today we will be speaking about mental wellness and health. We have our expert speaker, Anita Mishra. She's a certified psychotherapist and a counselor who practices various psychological and metaphysical healing techniques. At the end of the session, we'll also be taking questions or queries if you may have. Since all of you have joined on YouTube, there is a comment or a chat section on the right hand side. You can just write down your query, and towards the end, we will try to address most of it or all of it. So, welcome, Anita. Please address the crowd. Welcome once again.
Thank you, Ankita. A very warm welcome to one and all to this awareness session on health, work, life, and balance. And as WHO defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not only the absence of disease or infirmity. So, what is health? If we are physically healthy, yet we are not easy with ourselves, we are disengaged, we are disoriented, we do not know why do we act and feel the way we do. So there is some kind of an issue which needs to be addressed, and here we are to address this issue, which is about our mental health. Mind in action is what defines us, our personalities, and our relationship with all the people. So, dear friends, I am making a tall claim here. It can be really a life changing session if you be with me throughout this entire session as you get to know about your own mechanics, about your own machinery. How does your mind work? How does it regulate and operate your life? We don't live in our houses, bungalows, apartments, and offices, but we live in our thoughts and our minds. The way we present ourselves, the way we behave and act in our personal and our official lives, it is our mind and it is our feelings and it is our emotions which regulate the entire scenario. So, you all must have heard about this analogy that we have a brain which is a hardware. Hardware, as in you can see it, you can feel it. It is a fist size physical matter, and you can actually look at it from the various dimensions under the microscope. And there is a software, the software which is called the mind, which is played through this brain. A hardware is needed to play that software. And if we want a particular program to be run on that hardware, we need to be aware of that. We need to be writing that software. And most of the cases, we only don't know. So let's understand this mind. This mind has an incredible power, incredible strength, because we are only aware about the tip of it. And yet, there's a big chunk of our mind which is regulating us. And when we get aware about that part also, we know why aren't we feeling easy with ourselves. See, nowadays, there are many psychosomatic illnesses. The doctors and physicians say that after all the diagnostic tests, your physical parameters are all okay. But still, if you're not easy with yourself, you're not productive, you're not creative, you are not really feeling hungry. Of course, you are eating right things at the right time, you are maintaining a healthy lifestyle, but yet you have everything, so-called material resources and affluences and all the things which are needed to live a comfortable life. But yet, if you are disoriented, if you are disengaged, if you are disinterested, if you are not actively involved in the process of life, and you're feeling this constant anxiety and fear or apprehensions around you, you're not able to relate with people in a healthy and a productive way. So there is something which needs to be addressed. And that something is the inner software. So our mind is our brain in action. The mind has many layers to it, And to just clarify and simplify it in the simple terms, our mind has three layers. The conscious layer, like right now, you are able to see me and we are virtually connected and you're able to hear me. So this is our objective reality. So, and I'm able to connect with you all through this virtual platform. So this is an external reality, objective reality, which is known to us and seen to us. But then there is an internal reality which is going parallel with all of us. And this internal reality is very unique and typical for each one of us. For instance, right now I cannot see all the faces here, but maybe some of you may be thinking that what is the new thing she's going to tell us? Or probably, oh, let me see, what is coming up. Or maybe in the evening, what am I supposed to do? Or maybe some of you may be thinking about some of the sessions you must have attended, and so on and so forth. So internal reality about thoughts and feelings, what we are feeling right now and what are we thinking right now, is our internal reality. That is our subjective reality. And when our external reality and internal reality do not match as in we are not able to relate with the external things internally, our thoughts and feelings are not coinciding with the external factors. That means that if there is a resistance inside, if there is a lack inside, if there is an apprehension inside, and outwardly we are projecting that everything is okay, everything is fine, then there comes a friction, there comes a conflict. And then we understand that I am not easy. I am not easy. While relating with people, in relationships, in my creative work, I am not that productive. I know my potential. I can do much more than this. I can really deliver more than this. But why am I not able to do that? Or in your family life, maybe that you are interacting with your spouse or your friend or some of your relative, and you say some nasty things to them. And later on, you realize, I did not mean to say that. Why did I say that? Why did I react in that way? I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. And this conflict grows wide inside you, and this becomes internal reality. And that's how your mind is constantly playing in action. And the more resistance and the more friction you carry within, the more alienated you feel outside. So let's understand this incredible mind power. Let me share some information with you. And meanwhile, just a second. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So is my screen visible? Okay. So this is our So when we understand about mental health is about the state of mind. What state of mind you will be most productive and creative, right? When you are stationed and grounded in your own thoughts, when your external reality is meeting with your internal reality. But let's say that, there is no perfect score. So I would like all of you that on the scale of 1 to 10, just rate yourself that how are you feeling physically, like as in 1 if you're dead tired and exhausted, and 10 if you can just run a marathon. Or and the second parameter would be how are you feeling right now, like are you ready for a party, if you're feeling glad and pleasant. So rate yourself on the scale of 1 to 10. Or if you are so depressed and if you're so sad and if you're just depleted and you're feeling that this life is not worthy living. So rate yourself on the scale of 1 to 10. That's for your internal assessment. I am not going to evaluate it, but just to make you more engaged and interested in the session, to know more about your machinery, your mind, right? And how healthy are you? Okay. So when we say that when we are behaving in a particular way, good mental health would mean that we are able to control and regulate our thoughts and actions in the outward, and we know what we are saying, what we are doing, and how are we presenting ourselves, right? So here, this is the brain, and I hope the picture is quite visible to you. This is an incredible brain we have. This is the superpower we have. And these all are neurons. And these neurons are the little pathways which carry all the information, messages. So, all the processes. Right now, what you're hearing, what you're understanding, what you're interpreting is happening here. Right? And from one cell to other cell, these cells are making and completing the path and getting you know and process the information. Okay, so, and there are some neurotransmitters, which are the brain chemicals or the brain hormones, which are secreted when either we are feeling good or bad, pleasant, ugly, whatever state we are feeling. These chemicals are secreted. Like suppose if right now I'm engaged with you, I'm speaking, so my mind is constantly churning this information and sending it to me to deliver it here, and for you also the process is happening inside your brain to process that information according to your information available to you. So these transmitters, the neurotransmitters, the brain chemicals which are secreted by the neurons, make us feel the way we feel. Let me put it in very simple words. So there are primarily, let's understand it this way, DOS. DOS are the 4 brain chemicals which determine your state of being. Dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin and endorphins. These are the brain chemicals. Like when I am getting pleasure out of a thing, when I'm rewarded, suppose if I'm eating something good and my brain is saying, oh wow, what a wonderful food you are feeding yourself, I feel so satisfied and I feel so peaceful and restful when I'm eating. Why? Because my body is being nourished and I'm feeling that I'm secure and I'm safe because I'm getting enough food to eat. So dopamine is being secreted. That's a pleasure hormone. So we all are doing a lot of pleasure activities. So that dopamine rush is happening for all of us, constantly engaging with that phone or with social media handles or movies, binge watching, alcohol, porn watching. All these things are actually, what are they doing? They are secreting that dopamine. And when this dopamine exceeds to a certain level, it actually intoxicates you because you are then again addicted to a pattern which is not really healthy for you. But there are another hormones. This dopamine is also secreted when you learn a new musical instrument or you learn a new recipe. For instance, if you may remember, during the COVID times, practically all of us, students, housewives, professionals, and all of us, we were experimenting with new dishes and recipes. So our brains were rewarding with that new learning. So dopamine is also secreted that way. So now we have to adapt certain healthy ways so that our dopamine regulation is happening there, right? And serotonin is also about when you engage with people, when you do and contribute to some social activities, when you are with people. See, we have evolved from tribes and jungles, from hunters and gatherers to this modern day civilization, where in 2023 we are sitting at the comforts of our home and our laptops and our technology, and we are connected. So no wild tiger or bear is chasing us, right? But our body is still attuned to that kind of conditioning. Our evolutionary brain is behaving as if there is a threat and danger, it goes back to the same response which it would have taken if there was a real threat and danger, right? So when we were in herds, when we were in groups, when we were together, as people are together, when they are, partying and when they are having good times together, we feel good. Why do we feel good? Because we are secure and safe. We feel people are with us. कहते हैं ना, सुख और दुख में जब सब लोग साथ खड़े होते हैं, we really feel secure. So that is the serotonin level which is being secreted. So now we have to see that our evolutionary brain is primed for this stress and survival reaction. अब हम यहाँ बैठे हैं, we are sitting in the comforts of our offices and homes, but if there is constant niggling inside our brain that I have to chase these targets, I have to fulfill these conditions, I have to pay my bills, I have to attend certain parties or conferences, and there is so much of to-do list and so much of activity and burden on the mind. So the primal brain, the primitive brain, does not know whether the threat is real or it is an artificial threat or it is an artificial fear. Okay, so because it is not happening right now, but our mind constantly, our inner reality is, our internal chatter is giving the signal to our brain that there is some kind of threat, there is some kind of fear or danger and survival threat. So our body gets alert, and it gets alert and it starts secreting all those stress chemicals and hormones which would help us to either run away from the situation or to fight along with the situation, as it would have done in the case of real danger. If we would have been attacked by a tiger or a wild animal, we would have either taken a flight, we would have, or we would have fought with that to survive ourselves. So the body has only one agenda: to survive itself. It has nothing to do that what role are you playing? Do you have to appease your spouse, your wife, your boss, or you have to reach to a particular ladder, you have to accomplish certain targets? It's not bothered. So it would just shut off all that things and it would just take over the survival instinct. And unfortunately, in these modern times, we are all the time living in our minds. There's less of physiological activity and more of it is happening inside the mind, the constant chatter. So our subconscious and unconscious are the bigger brains, which is not known to us most of the times. The memories and the stored emotions as in fear, anxiety, apprehensions, and even the good feelings are also stored there. The memories are happening there. All the associations and memories are already there. But now, in day to day, how are we encountering that and how are we feeling that? We understand by our sudden reactions. Like suppose if you were thrashed and beaten by your school teacher some times back when you were a little kid, and now someone raises their voice and you suddenly get panicky and your heart starts palpitating and you are not able to relate with it, that why are you so restless? Now the memory is still held inside in the form of a threat, in the form of a superior and authority who was trying to invade to your security. And that feeling is stored in the form of those biochemicals which are still there. And you're reacting out of that conditioning. So coming back to this understanding that these are our neurotransmitters which help us to regulate, understand, and overcome these situations. You can be only creative and productive if you are able to handle your stress hormones and chemicals and understand that what are your stressors. And this is a hard reality, a grim reality, that in 2023, no one is spared of stress. We have our unique stressors. A child has a stress of finishing his or her homework and, getting acquainted and acclimatized with their friends, social rapport. A girlfriend could be thinking about, why my boyfriend did not respond me on message or Tinder or whatever. And a boss could be stressed because of the targets and all of the things. We have our unique stresses. No one is spared of that. So the moment we understand that, okay, we have our internal reality in terms of our stressors and that determines our mental health, let's understand this. What is it? Yeah. So those dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, Oxytocin is a love hormone. When you are in love, जब आप प्यार में होते हो, not really a romantic love, when you're thinking about your loved one, either a pet or your relative or your near and dear ones. So when you are in love, you forget their mistakes also. You are far more resilient with them, and then you are forgiving and you're forgetting also, and you just let go. बिकॉज जब हम प्यार और इश्क में होते हैं ना, तो नज़ारा बहुत ही खूब होता है. प्यार और इश्क में नज़ारा बहुत खूब होता है. हर अजनबी चेहरा भी महबूब होता है. सो व्हाट डज इट मीन? महबूब मतलब जिसको हम अपना मानते हैं, द पर्सन विद whom we can connect and relate as one. Right, so that is because of that oxytocin hormone. So when you relate more with people with that feeling of love, when you relate with emotionality and develop that skill, empathy, and relate with their feelings rather than being judgmental and conditioned responses to them with biases as in pre-held apprehensions and conditions for them. When we place people in with their characters and we do not change in our thinking about them, that this so and so is very rigid, he or she would not understand, or she's very jealous, or so many conditions we operate with, right? And when we have to work with teams, when we have to really perform ourselves amongst other people, then we really have to understand that are we able to understand and regulate our emotions and also help understand people's emotion as well, and are we able to calibrate that reality to the external reality? That's what is needed for our mind to be creative, productive, and engaging. See, I told you, getting back to that understanding that you can either be in that stress and survival mode, but when you're rested, you're digested, then you are in that growth and revival mode. When you're creating things, when you're already stressed, जब जान के लाले पड़े हो, उस समय कोई भी पोइट्री नहीं करता, कोई भी डांस नहीं करता, कोई भी म्यूजिक नहीं करता. So we are only creative and productive when we are stable, secure, and the primary needs are all taken care of, and then we know that okay, now we can engage in some new creations. Lovely. So the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins are actually secreted when we exercise. So those are pain extinguishers when we exercise. So we heal through that exercise. So when there is a lot of stress hormones and chemicals which get assimilated inside us, then we know that if we just shake our hands and then we take some movements, so we can actually know that okay, I was so clenched and so rigid in my body, and when I displace that, when I exercise that, so I let that toxin and that cortisol get regulated. Because at the time of stress and survival, our brain signals our muscles with extra blood, because now the muscles need to get into action for fight or flight. So it serves extra blood to the extremities, right? So now you have to know that what are my stressors. Oh, I'm again getting stressed. Oh, let me see my stressors and how can I regulate that, So this is about the dose. I hope you would get that dose. On that note, let me just make this session a little bit more interesting about the stress. Okay. So there were two friends. So come on, if you are sleeping, so get awake. So there were two friends, a father in the church, and one friend of his who was a professor visited him once. And they had wonderful time together. They ate and they, talked about their childhood and all about pranks and all other things which made them really happy. And while going back, the father gifted his professor friend a wonderful, magnificent black horse, a state-of-art beauty. And he said that, as a token of my love and appreciation, my dear friend, I am presenting this horse to you. Okay, and but there is only one thing you need to understand and remember. This horse is being raised in a very sacred and spiritual environment. So now you have to be just very careful that when you want this horse to gallop, you need to say, oh my God. And when you want the horse to stop, you have to say this command, hallelujah. Okay, all of you can repeat these two commands in your mind. I can't see your faces, but if you get engaged in this exercise, you would really, enjoy this. So the command for the horse to run is, oh my God. And to stop the horse is hallelujah. Right? So the professor was very happy and he started his journey back, and the horse started galloping and the command was given to him. The professor said, oh, these two commands, I'm a professor, I have learned and read so many books, and I'm a professor after all. So these two commands are just cakewalk for me, so I can remember them very well. Don't you worry. Okay, so he started those commands. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And the horse started galloping. And he started enjoying his ride back. And then what happened? He started enjoying and enjoying and enjoying, and suddenly he realized that horse was really galloping very fast. And then suddenly this anxiety started creeping in. Why? Because this horse started walking on a cliff. एक छोटी सी पहाड़ी जिसके ऊपर ये हॉर्स जो है चलने लग गया. एंड देन दिस सेंस प्रिवेल्ड विद इन हिम कि अगर ऐसे हुआ तो माइट बी आई मीट विद एन एक्सीडेंट. So then he started getting anxious and he thought that now I must stop this horse. But out of that fear and panic, he totally forgot about the command. Now all of you remember it? You remember it? Okay. The command was hallelujah. But short-term memory loss happened and this professor totally forgot it. You know, this happens when our fear center, amygdala, just hovers around our brain. The thinking and rational brain goes for ride. When panic and fear is overridden by, it just, captures our thinking brain. So the memory is all gone. So the simple command, hallelujah, he forgot. And he again started building that anxiety and fear around that. Oh my God, this is my last day. Oh my God. And mechanically on the autopilot mode, oh my God, oh my God. And the horse even started running faster and faster. And just at the edge of the cliff, the good sense prevailed and memory reclined and he recalled, oh, the command was hallelujah. And he said, hallelujah. And just at the edge, the horse stopped and he looked under the valley. Just पहाड़ी के नीचे उसने ऐसे झांक कर देखा, बहुत बड़ी गहरी खाई थी. And he said, oh my God, thank you. Oh my God, thank you. And both the horse and the professor was gone. So the point here is that however intelligent, resourceful, and creative and productive we may be, but if our fear centers, our lack centers, our emotional centers are not catered, our energies are not regulated, and then our unconscious takes over our conscious, and then we behave and act the way we do. And that's how we understand that we need to cater to that unconscious and subconscious. So now mindfulness I would talk about, which is a beautiful understanding, and we've been using it in our Indian traditions, Buddhism, that when we are aware about our mind, that what is happening inside, that is mindfulness awareness. When we know, when we accept that, okay, we have our mind which is not helping us to perform to our utmost capacities and capabilities. So an ability to practice mindfulness is which is reflected in a self-sustained, still and contained, highly spiritual person. We need not be spiritual for that, but then most of us are living in an autopilot mode, and we are living mindlessly, we are eating mindlessly, we are getting and engaging ourselves in some activities of binge watching and porn and all other things endlessly and mindlessly. And then we say that, okay, we are not feeling good about ourselves because we are drifting away from ourselves. So mindful awareness is all about watching your thoughts and actions in observation. So it really helps you to understand the way your inner reality is shaping out for you. And practices like yoga, tai chi, meditation would really help you calm down. Calm down, as in, most of us are constantly engaged with the self talk. If you just look at yourself and inwardly, if you peep, there would be thousand thoughts which would be entertaining you. If you just take a minute to reflect on that what quality of thoughts are we producing for ourselves. If you just start journaling it, and you understand that there is so much of friction, resistance and negativity inside us. So not to complain and judge about our own negativity, but it is about the quality of thoughts we are producing. So if there are insecure, rigid and inflexible thoughts of insecurity, so obviously our brain chemicals are going to be the stress and survival chemicals. So meditation, how does it help? Meditation is just about focusing on your own self. When you attend to your own self, when you heal your own self. What is health? Health is just about, it comes with the same root, heal. Heal is when you attend yourself. So external attendance we all are doing, and it's happening by its own accord. But when you are attending to your inner atmosphere, then you know that, okay, you are harboring so many things which are not really needed. It's like a factory which is producing a lot of waste products which are not needed in the market and which are not sellable in the market as well. So obviously that factory is going to be in the great loss. So now when we become aware and observant of our internal thought processes and internal chattering, slowly and gradually we understand that we can change the quality of these thoughts, and subsequently and eventually we can change our action as well and our feelings as well. Right? So meditation and holistic health is also about not looking at a thing from one dimension. We all are multidimensional beings. We are affected by various factors, right? So it is about moving away from focusing on symptoms and towards what could be causing the manifestation of problems. If you're constantly engaging in some kind of rifts and quarrels and arguments and discussions which are not healthy for you, or if you are having some serious mental health issues and problems like anxiety, panic, depression, and if you have anger issues, if you have disorientation issues, and if you have connectivity issues, so all these issues have to be assessed holistically from all the dimensions, right? So holistic assessment simply means that how your energy is influenced, environmental factors. There are certain stressors, like during the COVID times we understood how insecure and how fragile we were when there was a news about so many people dying because of this virus and because of that calamity. So our fear centers were really triggered, and how insecure we felt during those times. So thoughts, feelings and beliefs, physical health, spiritual well-being, all these are holistic dimensions to address to your own self. Now, how is our energy gets influenced? Energy is your emotion is actually energy in motion. So all the emotions which are captured, restored and energized inside your body are defining your energy. If you're very cheerful most of the times, if you're cheerful, if you are productive, if you are engaging, if you are loving, It simply means that your energy is more focused on secure patterns, and your internal mechanism is working on that growth and revival pattern. But if most of the times, if you are feeling that sense of incompetency, irritated, you are angry, if you are not really able to handle conflicts and relationships, so that's how you understand that, okay, there must be something which I need to address. Okay. So I get a question here that, okay, why sometimes human get breakdowns when you have so much people to talk, but still you get panic attacks and emotional breakdowns sometimes? Yes, certainly. So as I told you, talking is the prefrontal brain's work. Talking is an acquired skill in the humanitarian evolution. We have learned this behavior that when we talk, for the time being, we are able to exchange notes and we feel secure for a while. But if there is a lot of storage of stress chemicals and hormones inside, that's not going to help, because that's still there. And if you do not address that internal problem, if you are just putting a band-aid over your wound and you're not addressing the wound from inside, you are not actually doing something to let that wound heal, some past memories, some future anticipations and fears, if you're not able to regulate and understand them, then that stress builds up inside and that works as a breakdown. Then, as I told you, the amygdala center, the emotional center, it actually hijacks your thinking and you get a breakdown. So it simply means it can happen with anyone, everyone. And the researchers show that the people who are more into activities and intellect and more into some, actual thinking and performing skill based works, they are more prone for such things. Why? Because the mind is constantly filled with information and data and processes and all those things, and the stress is getting built and built, and constantly you are chasing something outwards, and if you're not able to handle the inward thing, so that is the delicate balance we need to work for that, right? So that's how it happens, and we'll move on to the things which can be really done to restore this internal balance. So sleep is a very important thing. We all are not sleeping well right now nowadays, because there is so much of data to be consumed, and we have an access to all this internet information, and practically everyone, be it a child or an old person, we all are constantly engaged with our gadgets, the phones and the laptops and all the things. And on top of that, we all have all this constant feeding. So outward information is almost, bombarding you, and you hardly get time to reflect on your inner self. So it's time for us to reflect that too much of information and too much of data is just sitting here, and we are not getting enough sleep, then it's going to hamper our processing. Our brain is a hardware which needs to be rested. So it needs to regulate all those functions, the digestion, the circulatory system, and all other 100 systems which are working inside us. It needs rest for that. So the proper sleep level, nowadays people are on Alprex and melatonin because they are not able to sleep. Why? Because we are not giving enough rest to ourselves, we are not exercising enough, and we are too much engaged with the outer world, right? Okay. So environmental factors, we all know. Certainly we have more of challenges and problems in the environment now as compared to our ancestors. There were no such challenges before. So now we need to be extra cautious about that what really needs to be taken, because at the time, in the time of social media and all other things, we are constantly evaluating and comparing ourselves with others. and it's not about the others, it's about your internal state. So why are we depressed? When our energy goes deep down and it's unable to express itself, we call it depression. Because when our energies are low and we are not able to express ourselves, it is depression. And when our energies are so aggressive that we are hampering and hovering over others, and when we are attacking someone, that's also a fight and flight mode. Yeah, when we are in that flight mode or fight mode, when we are in that fight mode, we are constantly fighting with people because we are not feeling secure. So either we win or the other person wins. So see, when we are performing the role, we need to play that role beautifully. When we are playing, we are just playing for the sake of fun and joy, not at the verge of breaking and just killing ourselves. Then the fun goes and erupts ourselves and just takes us to a toll, right? So we understand that there are environmental factors which are increasing, but then our mental health is our responsibility. Our spiritual health and taking care of our emotions is our responsibility. We cannot blame it to the others, to the outward factors, because then again it will be again sharing that responsibility or giving that responsibility to others, giving your remote to others. So it can be done. It can be really regulated by your own self. You can be the in charge of your energy. After all, it is you who creates this blueprint. These thoughts are being created inside you, and you can reframe it, regulate it, and also recalibrate it so that it works for you. So stress, as I was telling you, stress is the pressure or the force which we feel. So either you understand that what is your capacity, you need to work on your capacities, you need to work on your stressors, you need to work both ways, internally and externally. You need to work that, okay, what are my stressors which are really building my stress? You know, when you have this when you have this stress inside your mind that, okay, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do this, and constantly this thought is saying this to you, and you're fearful inside that you are not capable enough of fulfilling that role. So your body is again getting into that mode of secreting more stress hormones, and you're building more cortisol inside, and then you feel tight and rigid and frigid and all those things. Okay, there is again one question. How can I tell if someone has a mental health problem? Okay, so if a person is constantly losing appetite and not able to behave and function the way he used to, and if he's showing signs of cutting away from regular meets and roles and areas where he or she has to perform, and then if he's constantly complaining, cribbing, and showing those issues of anxiety and fear, and these are the parameters. You can ask them to share. There could be some serious brain impairment issues or some chemical regulatory issues. There could be some simple psychological issues, which could be situational, which could be environmental, which could be just done and dealt with. Some basic talk therapy and behavior therapy, we call it cognitive behavior therapy, where you look at the thought and you reshape that thought so that the meaning of that thought is changed inside your brain, and your body behaves the same way, the meaning we give it to that thought. You know, our mind is a meaning making machine. Like suppose if you say the weather is very clumsy today, it is very bad today, and you repeat it again and again. So we are doing it, out of unconsciously, we are just saying it. Many a times we say that, okay, this is so clumsy, yaar, I'm so sad, I'm so irritated. Yes, of course, you need to acknowledge that I am so irritated and the weather is clumsy. But see, if you constantly complain, if you don't do anything about it, positive thinking is not about negating the reality or the external reality. Yes, the weather is hot, the weather is humid, or weather is clumsy. But now I am feeling this way and I want to feel a better way. What can be done to get to that point? Can I just get into that loop of complaining and whining over the thing, or can I be productive and creative to do something about that and get into that space? What is in my capacity which can be rectified and dealt with, and what is beyond my capacity and capability which needs to be endured? The things which cannot be cured, it needs to be endured. We all understood it, nothing could be done about coronavirus, so we understood that we need to take those precautions, we need to wear that mask. So what was in our capacity, we need to do that. So that's how you can really suggest a person to take assistance and help. Therapists are available, counselors are there, psychiatrists are there, psychologists are there. There are so many people. When you share your problems along with them, help is already available and always available. We just need to come out of that zone wherein it was considered as a taboo, and we had a lot of biases over it. Mental health does not mean that you are insane or you have an infirmity. No, it simply means that like the way when we go for higher skill building, suppose if we have to crack an engineering exam, we go for coaching. When we have to go to crack, we have to appear for a medical exam, we go for niche coaching. So similarly, when we are using this machinery in a finer and higher ways, so we need to know how really does it work and what are the ways and mechanics through which we can keep its optimal health, right? So long-term stress is one of the biggest cause of mental health when we do not understand, like suppose if I'm constantly living in this fear and anxiety that I do not earn enough to fetch the needs of my children or my family, or I'm not able to cope up with the my installments and all other things which I need to fulfill in my capacity, in my responsibility. So we need to understand that we need to create a harmonious balance, that how can you really handle that and understand and upscale your skills in general and in specific as well. You need to look at those factors that this long-term stress do not hamper your mental functioning, right? Okay. So as I told you that mindfulness, when you are observant about your mind, that what is it which is really happening inside, it can really help you to reduce your blood pressure. Blood pressure is an indicative. When you are running high BP, you know that you are again running that stress and survival mode. Cognitive function simply means how you interpret, how you understand that information, how you regulate that information, how you process that information. All that intellect is doing, all that intelligence, how it is being used. That is the cognition, understanding, right? And then also about the emotional regulation and sense of self. Sense of self. How am I able to handle myself? What is inside me and how am I able to place myself in the social and personal and official context? Thoughts and beliefs and feelings. The negative thought patterns or the confirmation biases, and there are many such thoughts, which are not really healthy thoughts, like putting things in watertight compartments and just operating from those thoughts. The world is a nasty place, people shouldn't be trusted, or people are there for their own benefits. And thoughts like these are really hampering, when you alienate yourself because you feel insecure and you just buy, copy and paste those thoughts, you don't question them. And then you get into that insecure zone. See, I told you in the beginning that our emotional brain does not have logic. When you love someone, you just love them. Then you would say, but you do not like this particular habit. But then we say that our rational centers are closed that time. When we love someone, we love someone. right? So the logics do not interfere with the emotional brains. When you are crying endlessly with over a small thing and you say, why am I crying? There is no logic to it. Why am I so sad? Why am I feeling so bad when my boss yelled at me, or when he said some nasty things about me, when two colleagues talked about me, or when they judged me over my performance? I did not feel good, but I know I have done my best. But why still I'm feeling bad? Right? When you are emotional, when you understand that, okay, maybe you are also judging yourself, and then you are associating your thought process with their judgment, and then you are saying you're feeling that emotion so intensely, and you are increasing and amplifying that energy, and now you become aware of that. Is this something to do something about me? If I'm feeling so sad, if I'm feeling so bad about this particular judgment being carried over me or made for me, is it true? Is it can I validate it? Is it reliable? If no, if yes, then I can work on it. If no, then it is their prerogative and their responsibility. It's none of my concern and none of my role. So, awareness about your own feelings and thoughts, how these thoughts and feelings are creating a reality for you, and how these thoughts and feelings are creating a reality for others. And when you are stationed and grounded in your own energy, that this is me and that's how I can express myself, and I can engage more in productive and creative ways and ventures with my colleagues, with my associates, with my family people, and all other people. Right. Okay, so I will just quickly move to the next slide so that we can take more questions. So food plays an important role. Be mindful and aware about the food intake. Breathing. Breathing is a beautiful technique and tool available to us. The moment you take care how deep or shallow your breath is, that is again an indicator. If you breathe very shallow, so that means you are stressed and angered. And if you are able to train yourself to breathe deeply, diaphragmic breathing, diaphragm is just under our chest, an inverted C. And also belly breathing. There are ample of tools available on the internet about diaphragmic breathing and belly breathing. We have shortage of time, otherwise I would have taken you to that exercise as well. And then belly breathing helps you to get into this moment of now, to come from that fear and anxiety to now, to the state of now, because the fear and anxiety is only about the past and about the future. And when you station yourself in the present, then you're able to handle your mind as well. Okay, so now this is the about calming yourself during the time of stress and anxiety. Meditation I talked about. Sunshine and vitamin D, exposure to sunshine. We all are working in ACs and comfortable rooms. Expose yourself to more of the sunlight. That's really an enhancer. Relaxation techniques, progressive muscular relaxation techniques, relaxing your big muscles and small muscles, your jaw muscles, your brain muscles. Learn those techniques of relaxing. So here it is gratitude, an attitude of being grateful. When you acknowledge more positive things in your life, when you are aware of acknowledging what is working for you, what you are thankful for, beginning with the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the family you have, the kind of work you are doing, and the kind of people you have in your life. Taking notice of all those small and big things can really help you build your happy chemicals, which is practicing a gratitude journal is a great way to be in a good mental health. When your brain gets trained to look for more positive and bright sides of life, because we take them for granted. We take them for granted because right now, we are using this technology. Isn't it a big miracle? During the COVID times, we connected with the entire world through this technology. Isn't it a miracle? We get food on our table by so much of process, from the farm to the table. There are so many steps which are happening, and yet we do not acknowledge it. We take it for granted. So gratitude is a great practice. Believe you me, it really helps and is a miraculous way to understand the mental health. Okay, there is one question: how to think less about issues that might not have very big repercussions but bother us. Oh, yes. So, those issues must be bothering you because you must have got some conditioning or some judgment around that issue. Maybe an attachment issue with that particular person or with that incident. It seems small and short, less, but for you, there must be some emotion which must be associated along with that, maybe of fear, maybe of lack, maybe of attachment, maybe of some expectation, because that's why it is bothering you. So we need to understand that things look very petty and small when we are insecure and when we are fearful, but when we are easy, when we are safe, when we are secure, big things also can be treated in a jiffy. Hurdles and resistance is lesser and lesser when we are able to understand our power. Okay, so please share some techniques for instantly calming down during stress. Okay, when you are stressed, understand that deep breathing through your nostrils, inhale and exhale through your mouth. When you do this consciously, you instantly calm down. And then just press your feet against the surface where you are sitting or you are standing, grounding yourself. So instantly calming down. Get back to your senses. 5 things which you can see, 4 things which you can hear, 3 things which you can smell, 2 things which you can talk, and 1 thing which you can feel. 5 things, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Instantly calm down. Get yourself to the present. Breathing, aware breathing, diaphragmic breathing, and then grounding. And the third technique I told you about, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. These are beautiful calming techniques. And we need to understand the blessings we are endowed with, and we need to be satisfied with ourselves, because unless we are satisfied with ourselves, we don't know how to really, we are constantly in that autopilot mode of complaining. This is less, this is right, this is not okay, this is fine, that's it. Okay, which foods can we intake or to reduce stress and depression? All the foods which fast foods, junk foods, and which gives you instant sugar rush. Which food can we intake to overcome insomnia? Milk, strawberries, cranberries, avocados, tomatoes, almonds. All these things are really beneficial. Okay. Any more questions, Ankita? Any more questions? Okay. There is one question. Okay, how to think less? Okay, you need to see the quality of thoughts, and you need to understand that, okay, how is this thought helping me to be more productive, or is it reducing my capacity? So when we are actually checking our belief system, then automatically the number of thoughts gets reduced. When you are constantly in awareness and when you observe yourself, that where is this thought coming from? The thought is only coming from your energetic system, from your beliefs. And when you look at your monkey mind, you just see it as a fleeting thought. Then you are capable of changing the thought, the quality of thought, and gradually the quality of the quantity of thought also gets reduced. Okay, so now this is the last slide, which is about the rain. When we say that rain, when we enjoy the rain, okay, so recognize what's going on inside your mind, inside you, what is happening. The emotional field, what you are carrying inside, is creating your mental field and then your action field. Okay, so allow the experience. we don't have to negate and deny our experiences. I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad. You need to allow the experience, not in the outward, but with yourself, with a consultant, with a therapist. If you're not able to do it alone, understand, you have to allow that experience, understand there is a need to get fulfilled. That's why the experience wants to be there. Investigate with kindness, be kind to your own self, don't judge yourself. Oh, I'm such a bad person, or there is something wrong in my wiring, that's why it is happening like this, so natural awareness, which comes from not negating and denying, but from acceptance. So this is the reign which we need to understand with our thought process. So this is all about our incredible mind power when we understand that we are the creators and destructors of our own energetic system. When we are able to ground ourselves, station ourselves in those frequencies, that is the energy on which we vibrate, right? If I carry positive, productive, creative, engaging thought processes and beliefs inside myself, then I create the same energy in my outer field and vice versa. My energetic field creates an outer field. When we say that my internal mental state, when it is right, when it is sane, it creates a beautiful environment, a harmonious environment outside, and not the other way around. If there is a commotion outside, if there is a stressful event outside, but yet if I am centered and calm and I'm grounded, I am able to handle that stress as well. I am a resourceful person then, and I need to know that when I need to engage and disengage with an external activity, and how to overcome that problem and challenge. So, with that, I would like to end my presentation here, and over to you, Ankita. Now, if there are any more questions, we can address that.
Thank you so much, Anita. Thank you so much for addressing a lot of questions during the session. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of food for thought when we go back home and think about the facts, brains, and hormones that you have taught. We have a couple of questions from the audience. Why we are not able to get rid of stress or move on even when if we know that it is the factor causing stress and it is affecting us mentally and physically for so long. So what keeps on going us? Why are we not able to pull ourselves out of the situation? I believe this is what the person is trying to ask.
Right. So, if we could be more specific about the stressor, which is creating the stress inside us, a simple definition of stress is pressure over the area. Like, suppose if I'm putting some physical pressure and stress on my hand, I get pushed. So, when there is a mental pressure, mental stress. So we need to update and upscale ourselves, understand our stressors first. Can something be done about those stressors? Can the quality of those stressors can be changed? What can be done to overcome that? If that is not addressed, so obviously your stress gets increased because you are in that role and responsibility. See, we have infinite capacity to grow and evolve and expand. As I told you, but if we are by default and if we are in that autopilot mode, that we are retracting back to that stress and survival mode. Oh my god, again stress, oh my god, another target, the internal chatter and the internal belief system, if it is attuned to that kind of understanding that this is again a stressful situation for me, then obviously you're going to grow that energy more. And of course, there is a capacity, an individual capacity, a physical, mental capacity. We need to understand that capacity of ours. Where is the stress taking our toll? Physical stress are there, environmental stress is there, so familial stress are there, expectations are there. You need to express and communicate about those stresses as well. So if we could be more specific about a situation, an event, we could have dwelt upon it in a better way, but that's what I can say maximum about it.
I hope that answers the question to the person who asked this question. I have one more question here. Is it okay to be alone when you are, panicking or you're in a stress and then come back? So is it normal to stay alone? Is it normal to feel like a loner? I mean, is it healthy?
Uh, is it healthy to be a loner? If you are able to understand and manage your own feelings, and if you know how to regulate it, it's good to take your time out, understand yourself, and overcome that. But if you are magnifying and amplifying those feelings, and you are making your stress as a long term stress, and panic attacks are simply an outburst of that increased energy and increased toxins inside your body. So if you're not able to handle and manage that, then certainly you should ask for help. Deep breathing exercises would always be very helpful for you if you can really learn them at the time of peace, not at the time of war. When you are actually feeling that stress and that panic attack, then it wouldn't help. But if you have practiced it before, then you know that, okay, I'm getting into that zone of anxiety and fear, and let me grab a glass of water, let me take some deep breaths, let me go for a jog, let me eat something. Some dark chocolates really help. Some eating something sugary which would give instant rush of that energy to you, that would be really helpful.
That's pretty much it, Anita. I think we have cruxed down all the questions that we got and summarized it. Since we are running out of time, I'm sure we would love to hear more. Mind is infinite, like you mentioned. So soon we will speak more about it. I'm sure people will go and do their researches, practice the techniques that you have shared. So with that, I once again thank you. Thank you to the audience who have joined it through YouTube, and have a very good weekend to all of you. Thank you so much and a very good evening.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much. Yeah, hi Rajni, Ankita.